How's it going, everyone? I completely forgot that I was going to mention the way that I see slash scry, or the way that the archdemons of the Qliphoth, the overlords, if you will, appear to me. Completely forgot I was going to address that in the second video. So I will go over it now. Due to the nature of some of the spheres, there will be two rulers sometimes, or they will alternate. And due to the nature of the Qliphoth, sometimes these creatures will appear as androgynous, sometimes they'll appear as male with a female voice, sometimes they'll appear as female and then they'll shift into a male. So these are just sort of rough averages, you might say, of what I've experienced the archdemons of the Qliphoth manifesting as. Now, they might appear differently for you, and that's totally fine if they do. But if you are having a hard time meeting them, or if all of them look the same to you and you want to give them some variety, I have 13 here. I'm going to try to do them in order. I did write some of them down just because I don't want to get lost. So if you see me reading a list, it is a handwritten list that I wrote just now as I was sort of re-scrying on them, thinking, okay, I would basically think of their name, and then as they come to me, I would jot down how they appeared. So hopefully this will be fun for some of you. We will start with Nehema. I typically see her as a muddy, bloody, younger woman with huge eyes and a huge grin, her whole skin is brown and red with mud and blood, but the whites of her eyes and her teeth are perfectly white. Sometimes I'm seeing now, sometimes she has blood in her mouth, but yeah, typically it will be muddy, bloody, with big eyes and a big grin. When I see Lilith, typically she appears to me as a horned, purple-skinned, sometimes nude, older woman. By older, I mean like 40s or 50s, not like 70s or 80s. Adramelech tends to appear to me in some form of a horned centaur but he's more like a donkey centaur, and he has a peacock tail. Then comes Baal, who I typically see as a sort of horned bull man, which more is like a man with a bull's head, as opposed to Adramelech, who's like an animal with a human head and upper body. Basically like a centaur is how I see Baal, but he's typically laughing and stumbling around and slurring his speech as if he's drunk or something like that. Next we have Belphegor, who I typically see as a large, sitting, fat, disgruntled, not angry, but just like in a hurry type of figure. They will typically be more reptilian, infernal looking, as opposed to like a fat. Man, this is distracting me way more than it should be. Than like a fat like human or something. It's typically like a fat, sitting, lazy, almost like crocodile person. Then we have Asmodeus, who typically appears to me as a bloody, horned suit of armor that like hisses. You could like almost think Sauron, but less like that and more like demonic. More demonic than Sauron. Then we have Astaroth, who, when I say she appears to me very Nuit or Newt-like, I just mean like the skin is made of like celestia, astral, sidereal materia. And like star skin, I wrote. And typically is like soft-spoken and echoey, as opposed to like the hissing of Asmodeus or the slurring of Baal. Then we have Lucifuge, or Lucifuge Rufocale, who I typically see as a black robed skull with 3 tongues. I don't know if it's one tongue that splits into 3, or hello spider that's lowering from the from the ceiling. But yeah, black robed skull with 3 tongues. Then Beelzebul, I typically see as a like disheveled warlock type of figure, almost like Gotos or something, but more decrepit and more warty and more. What do you call clothes that are like ragged and stuff? Anyway, yeah, that's typically how I see Beelzebul. Now, as I said, these beings can appear to me as entirely shadow, as entirely something else, but this is sort of an average that I'm trying to give you here. Then I typically see Satan as just a black shadow with horns and a long forked tongue. Moloch, I typically see as a very wealthy, regaled king on a throne of bones and skulls and things like that. Choronzin, I typically see as this very overarching figure whose head is just full of eyes. His whole head isn't just a sphere of eyes, but every single spot on his head and face is just eyes all the way around. And then Chagall, I typically see as an arrow-wounded hyena spirit that is very rabid and ravenous. So yeah, that is all of them, I believe. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, or if you've had any similar experiences in your practice as well. Questions, comments, or concerns below, please. And yeah, maybe it was best that I made this as a 3rd video anyway. So take care, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.